Hey, what's up? Hold on. Let me get this situated. All right, there we go. Probably should have done this before I went live, but hey, that's life. I wanted to talk about one of the most important health topics that is being discussed now, and is going to be the future of health. Hey, what's up, everybody? Those of you just checking in. So this is one of the most important health topics for everybody as it pertains to your future health, both mentally and physically. This is something I've talked about frequently, and I will continue to talk about it. And this is partially why I do what I do. This is why partially I think breath work is one of the most important things in the foundational aspect of health, and getting a practice for breathing daily is going to be extremely important. And so one of the things I equate this health issue with is secondhand smoke. And so I asked the question, if you were sitting in a car with somebody and the windows were closed and the smoke was billowing in the car, would you say something to that person? Would you get upset? Would you say, hey, no smoking in the car, please? Or no smoking next to my children, no smoking in the public place? You probably would, because by now it's actually illegal to smoke in public places, because we know the health effects of smoke, right? We know that it causes carcinogenic effects or cancer, and it can cause asthma, it causes a whole slew of health issues. And so the question I ask people all the time is, did you know that is happening now, but you're not saying anything about it? And so for those of you who might know what I'm talking about Wi-Fi and electromagnetic frequency. And so this is extremely important topic to understand, that we are being exposed to electromagnetic frequencies that scientifically have increased over the last 100 years by 1 quintillion times, right? And this is, it doesn't take a rocket science to understand that. This building that I'm in, I came in 8 years ago. When I came here, there was one Wi-Fi that was picked up when we opened up our Wi-Fi. Like, you could see whose Wi-Fi was around. Now, when we do it today, there's 14 different Wi-Fi signals that we're picking up, which means that everybody has a Wi-Fi signal. And I'm going to get to why this is important as it pertains to breathing, right? And why breathing is so important, and why I'm always promoting things like the Wim Hof method, and why we take people outside of an environment of Wi-Fi, because it has such a dramatic impact on your health. So let's talk about what happens when you're exposed to Wi-Fi, because most people don't know that their health issues are directly correlated with them sleeping right next to their Wi-Fi. And as we continue to have more and more Wi-Fi, as we continue to upgrade to 5G, which I'll explain in a little bit why that is can be extremely dangerous and harmful, then you'll understand what you need to do, right? So first things first, Wi-Fi exposure is linked to serious illnesses. If people feel a higher anxiety, higher depression, higher level of dizziness, there's a bunch of health issues that it's being caused. Now, when you're getting exposed to the Wi-Fi, it's just like secondhand smoke, sometimes worse, right? The frequency is actually causing your cells or your body to emit toxins. And to neutralize those toxins, you have to intake more nutrients, etc. And one of those nutrients is actually oxygen, and specifically 5G will affect the oxygen molecules, and I'll explain what you can do to help that. But essentially, what you want to do is limit your exposure to these low-grade radiations. So limit the time you're near them, how close you are. So your cell phone, don't keep it on you. When you're talking, try not to keep it to your head. Use headphones. If you're working, don't work right next to the Wi-Fi. You can put it in what's called a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage lowers the amount of radiation that's coming out, but you're still picking up the signal. So there are all these things that can happen. What's up, Kemba? What's up, Bren? How you guys doing? Bren, I'm glad you like the topic, and feel free to ask any questions as this continues. So I'd love to answer any questions that you guys might have on the topic of Wi-Fi or electromagnetic radiation and breathing. And I'll get into why breathing is going to be and is the future, and why we're seeing the phenomenon of breath work all across the nation, across the world. And it's going to get bigger and bigger because we already know breathing is a need, right? It's one of the most foundational, fundamental things. It's the first thing the baby does when it comes out of the womb. So how you're breathing dramatically affects everything in your life. But in the future, it will become even more and more important because of our exposure to these electromagnetic frequencies. For example, if you're next to the Wi-Fi, remove it or put it in a Faraday cage. I had numerous examples of people who had their kids right next to the Wi-Fi, sleeping next to the Wi-Fi. As soon as they removed the Wi-Fi, their kid had the best night's sleep ever. And keep in mind, your sleep is one of the most important things as it pertains to hormones, health functions, etc. So breathing and sleep. So Wi-Fi is affecting all of these things. So limit your exposure to it. Try to get out in nature. We talked about getting out in nature. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing? Hey, Meg. So we talk about going into nature. Nature has its own energy, its own frequency. So remove yourself from the harmful radiation, Wi-Fi, and go out into an area where it's free of it, and you'll automatically feel better. You'll automatically, again, like we spoke about yesterday, lower blood pressure, feel better. But we're now in 4G, we're moving to 5G. These are different frequencies, different wavelengths, and what the science is showing is that 5G will affect oxygen uptake on a cellular level. So let me repeat that again. 5G will affect oxygen uptake on a cellular level. If you're not getting oxygen into the cells, this will affect every single functioning process in the body. It will cause the liver to not process out the toxins as well, and then therefore it'll affect lung, brain, heart, all these things. And this is part of the reason why we're seeing a huge rise in a lot of chronic diseases. So there's many facets to it, but it plays a big part in it. Hey, Tara. So what to do? What do we do to take action on this? So one, limit your exposure to these Wi-Fis. Keep in mind, if you have a smart meter on your house, that is one of the biggest offenders of electromagnetic radiation. So try to actually sleep on the opposite side of it or away from it. If you need to, you can go to lessemf.com and you can wrap it up in a Faraday cage type thing so that it's not emitting as much radiation. If you really want to get crazy, they actually have paint that blocks the EMF radiation that you can put on your walls. Some people, if you live near high power lines, that is something to consider, but you can also get tested. You can get tested to see how much radiation is being affected in your house. And I've spoken to an expert in New York who not only has all the Wi-Fi expertise, he has like every certification that you need for that industry in the science. He's also a natural health doctor. So he combined the two. And his name's James Finn. He's out of New York City. But anyways, what James said, and I'll hopefully be interviewing him at some point in time. Selenium, melatonin, yes. Perfect. So Tara says selenium, melatonin, and CoQ are disrupted by this, right? So these are minerals and vitamins that get affected. The intake in the cells gets affected, and just because of the reason I'm telling you, oxygen uptake gets affected. Anytime oxygen's getting affected, there's a whole cascade of systems that get affected. And if you're not going into deep sleep because of these radiations, you're not going to release the melatonin. So thank you, Tara. Awesome point. So limit Wi-Fi exposure. So anyways, this guy, James Finn, what he was saying is, and pediatricians will not work, or not pediatricians, I should say, natural holistic doctors will not work with people to get healthier if they will not limit the exposure to the Wi-Fi. And let me say that again. They will not work with people if the first thing that they do, if they don't do, is limit exposure to Wi-Fi, because they know that they will not get results, because they're constantly being exposed to something that's creating free radicals. This guy, James Finn, what he does is he goes in and tests your house to see how much Wi-Fi exposure or EMF you're being exposed to, what radio frequencies, etc. And he said that you will not heal unless you get rid of the Wi-Fi. And everybody that he's helped out has healed, or their insomnia disappeared, or their anxiety disappeared, just by removing the EMF radiation at these high levels. So that's the impact that it can have. That's the power that it can have. Now, why is breath work going to be important with that? So the breath work is going to be extremely important with that, because if oxygen intake goes down into the cells because of 5G, we now have to compensate for it to get more oxygen into the body to feel at our homeostatic level. So the body always wants to be in homeostasis. If it's not, it's fighting to get there. And if it can't get there, that's a lot of times where disease is. So any questions, comments so far? Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going, Sammy? Liz, haven't heard from you in a long time. I hope all is well. Urine, how you doing, buddy? So with the exposure to Wi-Fi, breathing and breathing exercises, hands down, number one thing that you can do instantly, lowest hanging fruit that you can do for your health. But if you take it to the next level and you use specific techniques, you can increase the oxygen uptake. And this isn't scientifically proven. This is in my experience. I've had a lot of experience with hyperbaric oxygen chambers and breath work. And you can actually get better oxygen uptake through some of the breath work not connected with the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. That helps in a specific way. There are adverse effects to the hyperbaric oxygen chamber too, like people have higher instances of cataracts and stuff because of the pressure. So what am I talking about? Breath work. The Wim Hof technique is one of the best ways. There's other techniques. There's holotropic breath work. There's the Buteyko method. There's just doing your own thing. You can just increase your oxygen uptake by taking 6 deep breaths in through the nose, exhale through the nose. Slowly. The slow, long exhale will actually put you in the parasympathetic nervous system mode. So as you exhale slow and long, you automatically help the parasympathetic nervous system activate, so it lowers your systems down, and you go into rest and digest. Something I highly recommend before you eat food. So what I would recommend anybody who's watching this video is to eliminate your exposure to Wi-Fi, right, as much as you can. If you can't eliminate the Wi-Fi machine from where you are, say you're at work and you need the job and you need to be working there and the Wi-Fi machine is like right next to your head, you can wear clothing that protects it, or you can put a cage around it, right? And so there's a lot of things when you travel, you're getting exposed to more Wi-Fi in the plane, so you can wear clothing then. I always recommend and suggest everybody, and if everybody did this and everybody stopped, they would get rid of this machine in the airport. So don't go in that machine where you put your hands up and it scans your body, because it's shown to shred your DNA, and they don't care about you or your health. They care about the machine costing lots of money and them selling it to airports to use for security. That's what it's about. It's never been tested for study. There was one test, and that test showed that it shredded your DNA. So if you get blasted with radiation on high levels, it's typically not good for your body in that fashion. We're getting radiation from the earth, but these ways are not very great for your body. And this is about health. So if you do breath work, what's up, Ian? How you doing? If you do breath work, you're now going to neutralize some of the effects of these Wi-Fi exposures, and then numerous other effects like we spoke about yesterday when I was on here with Bart. So if you have any comments, questions about this topic, go ahead and leave it below. But the main two things I want to take away is limit your exposure to Wi-Fi, EMF. The things that cause it are your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, smart meters, and towers, cell phone towers near you. And actually studies have been done that if it's within 300 meters, they're, depending on the age that you are, because the younger you are, you replicate cells faster, your chances of lymphoma, other cancers increase. So this is not a joke. This is not something we're joking about, that it's like, oh yeah, this is like woo-woo frequency of Wi-Fi. 5G, the hertz and the frequency that is at is the same hertz that the military uses. Hold on, let me shut that off. That the military uses for crowd control. Just so you guys understand what's going on. It's at the same wavelength that the military uses crowd control, because you can use frequencies just to blast at people to control them. So yeah, limit your exposure to that, and then do breath work. So what I recommend to people is when you go on vacation, try to get into a place that completely eliminates these things, these headaches. You want to decompress completely. You want to eliminate the Wi-Fi. You want to get away from Wi-Fi. You want to go in a place where it has hyperoxygenation so you can oxygenate the body and feel better, right? So these are massive things that can dramatically impact. These are little things that can dramatically impact your life, even just a few days, which is why we do hosting the retreats in things like Costa Rica, where there is no Wi-Fi, where we're doing breath work, where you're exposing yourself to negative ions, right, which are recharging the body. All this Wi-Fi is reducing the amount of negative ions in our atmosphere. And we need those negative ions to help our body to essentially neutralize the toxins, build our energy up. And that's why people are feeling more fatigue, more chronic illnesses, etc. So your health is in your hands, and it's important that this is the number one topic in my life. Obviously, I'm doing this, but I suggest, and I always ask people to consider that your body and your health, it should be your number one topic, the main thing that you're talking about, that you're focused on. And because it's yours, like, why else would you not focus on that, right? And you're in control of it to a certain degree, right? We don't have control over all the Wi-Fi stations, but we have the ability to impact it. So limit exposure, do things like the Wim Hof method, right? And real quick, the Wim Hof method is breathing in and out, 30 to 50 reps. This is the basic method. You exhale on the last breath and just hold it. And then take a deep breath in, and then squeeze a little oxygen in once you felt like you needed to take a deep breath in after the exhale and hold. So it's very simple. There's tons of videos online. That's just like the most basic, simple explanation. But you can find more videos online about that. Limit exposure to Wi-Fi, do breath work, take time to get away from the Wi-Fi. And if you're interested, you can always join us in Costa Rica, where we eliminate the Wi-Fi. We do the breath work. We get organic food straight from the farm, and the experience is awesome. So, hey Kasia, you in Wales? How's it going? Any questions here? So, all right. Tara, Holy Basil, awesome. All right, well, I think we'll end it right there unless we got any other questions. Cool. So love you guys. Have an awesome day. And we'll be checking in on Friday, Bart and I. And we'll see you then. We'll be having another topic specific to secrets of the Wim Hof method and how to maximize breath work for your health and wellness. Take care.